with Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and the world. This is TMJ4 News at noon.
And good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on day 3 of jury deliberations in the trial of Kyle Rittenhouse. Right now we have several different crews in Kenosha following all the developments from the courthouse. I'm going to be joined now by this afternoon with Andrea Albers as well as Vince Vetrano. So Vince, let's start with you. What are you seeing outside the courthouse?
Good afternoon, Charles. Jury deliberations are continuing now for this third day here in Kenosha. Right now, still no verdict, no indication on when jurors may reach a decision. Outside the courthouse, demonstrating perhaps less appealing when it's cold with a very stiff wind blowing. And that is definitely the case today in Kenosha. Seems like a bit smaller presence on the courthouse steps this afternoon than yesterday. Some individual shouting matches, but nothing so far that I've witnessed out of hand. Did have that one incident yesterday. I was in court just about a half hour ago, and there was some activity this morning. The judge called everybody back into the courtroom to speak on the record about an incident reported by Kenosha police. Now, according to the judge, a crew claiming to be media followed the jury bus from the courthouse last night. And that is a big no-no. Let's get right over to Andrea Albers now with what the judge had to say about that. Andrea?
Yeah, this was just a short time ago, Vince, that the judge, attorneys from both sides, and Kyle Rittenhouse were all back inside of the courtroom. Judge Bruce Schrader said he wanted to address a police report of someone following the jury bus last night. Kenosha police say they pulled that person over. That person identified themselves as someone who worked for MSNBC, and they were ultimately given a traffic citation. Today in court this afternoon, just a short while ago, Judge Bruce Schrader said that MSNBC will be barred from entering the courthouse for the remainder of the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. And, you know, I do want to make it clear here that this does not involve any local affiliates, and MSNBC has not issued any official statement in relation to this. A couple other developments this morning. We are hearing from Jacob Blake. Of course, he is the man shot by police in Kenosha in 2020, and that shooting is what eventually sparked the riots in Kenosha. Kenosha serving, of course, as the backdrop for the Kyle Rittenhouse shooting. He shot 3 men, killing 2, and that is, of course, what he is on trial for here as we enter week 3 and day 3 of jury deliberations. In an interview with TMZ, Jacob Blake said, looking back, that he wishes things had not escalated to the point where his shooting caused a riot. And when it comes to the Rittenhouse trial, he believes race is a central issue, saying if Kyle Rittenhouse was not white, he'd be, quote, gone, and people would not be calling him a hero. Blake added that he's not labeling Rittenhouse as a bad person, but said the then 17-year-old should not have been in Kenosha with a gun that did not belong to him. Blake also gave an update on his recovery. He was left paralyzed from the waist down. He now says he does have some movement in his legs, but is still in constant pain. He also told TMZ that he's forgiven the officer who shot him.
I don't hate Shesky. I forgave him at least 7 months ago. You know, I was worried when I found out his address was handed out. I was worried about him and his family, straight up. Just like I was about mine, because my address was out.
Officer Rustin Shesky said he thought Blake was reaching for a knife prior to the shooting. Shesky was never criminally charged, and he's now back on the force, although the interim police chief says he is not working in the community. Blake has since filed a lawsuit against Shesky, saying the officer's use of deadly force was excessive. Now, as for what's happening here closer to the courthouse, as you said, Vince, it's a bit quieter than we've seen in recent days, and I agree with you. I think it does have something to do with the weather. It's hovering around 35 degrees, and there is an icy wind blowing down here at the courthouse.
And Andrea, Kenosha schools, we mentioned that earlier in the program. Kenosha schools are making some changes this week. What do we know about that?
Yeah, Kenosha schools, 5 Kenosha schools located near the courthouse have switched to virtual learning. They're not allowing school to take place inside the building, and that's because of their proximity to the courthouse and because of the crowds that we have seen out here. Last night, 2 people were arrested after the crowds got a little rowdy, a little tense. 2 people arrested for disorderly conduct, among other charges. That's according to Kenosha police. So starting today, 5 Kenosha schools are moving to virtual classes. As I said, that's happening for the rest of the week as a precaution. And again, that's because of the potential for growing crowds and how close the schools are to the courthouse. I do want to give you the list of those schools. It includes Frank Elementary, Rother High School, Harborside Academy, Brass Community School, and Washington Middle School. But for the moment, Vince, things are pretty quiet down here. In fact, just to my left, there's been a table set up. Free cookies are being offered and coffee. Big signs near that table that say "Cookies for Peace." Reporting live from outside of the Kenosha Courthouse, Andrea Albers, TMJ4 News.
All right, Andrea, appreciate that update from just over the way. Jurors sent several written questions to the judge on Wednesday. Those questions centered around requests to re-watch videos that had been shown during the trial. And then from there, most of the day was spent arguing over video evidence. The defense actually eventually asked for a mistrial, a separate motion than what it made earlier in this trial, accusing prosecutors of giving them a lower quality video of a key moment in the case. We spoke with local attorney and legal expert Patrick Cafferty about the potential for a mistrial at this point.
I can tell you this would be a tall order. They're really going to have to show that there is something dramatic about this that has prejudiced the defense in order to get this granted. I don't think the judge will take this up prior to the verdicts. I think the judge will let this go to the jury. And again, if there's a not guilty, it's moot. If there's a guilty, then he's going to have to address the merits of the issue.
You will know that when the jury has made a decision as soon as we do. For full coverage, you can head to tmj4.com/rittenhouse, and you can download our free TMJ4 News app, and we will send an alert straight to your phone as soon as we learn a verdict is in. In the meantime, jury deliberations, as we said, continue into this afternoon as we wait to hear word of when there is a verdict. We've got more reporting coming at 12:30. Charles, for now, we'll send it back to you inside.
All right, we appreciate the update. We'll check back soon.